Yep.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our part two of the senior retreat. So I am covering understanding college costs. So we'll go ahead and get started because we've got quite a few slides to get through. So I got to click on this. All right. So with college costs, there's 5 different categories that you'll have to kind of think about. So we'll go through these 5 here. So the biggest 2 are tuition and fees and room and board. So obviously tuition is what you pay to colleges for attending, and there's fees attached to that go to like different things. So part of the fees can be like the college provides a workout room or labs or technology, so like Wi-Fi, all of that stuff. So part of your tuition and fees go to all of that. So everyone gets to pay that. The next big thing is room and board. Um, these these are dorm rooms, and all of these depend. The cost on this depends on whether you have the option to live. I guess it depends on the school, but you can live by yourself, which will cost you a lot more. If you have roommates, usually the more roommates you have, the cheaper it will be. Now, as we are going through the COVID here, that those options might not be available. So each college is set up differently. So that is something you'll have to talk to your college once you're admitted. So the next 2 are books and supplies. So obviously, when you're in college, you are required to buy books. You might want computer, um, all of these stuff, all of these things, pencils, paper, all that stuff. Those are all under supplies. So that we'll talk a little bit more about on how you might be able to save money. Now you can rent textbooks, you can share textbooks. It just kind of depends on the classes that you are attending, excuse me. And then the final one is, or the fourth one is, I think it's the fourth one, is personal costs. So that's like it says there, I'm sorry, uh, laundry, but some dorm rooms now have laundry attached to it, so it's part of the fees. Food that you would, whenever you go out eating or you go outside of your dorm to eat out, things like that. And then if you live off campus, there's the transportation cost. Even if you live on campus, obviously, if you have a car, there is a cost to transportation. So there's if you have a car, you have to. Unfortunately, most colleges will charge you to use their parking lot, so you have to pay to park. So that's something that would obviously cost you money. Each college is different as far as costs are concerned. I know like the U of M, to have a parking permit I think it's about $500, whereas like Anoka Ramsey, it's like $30 per semester. So it just kind of depends on where you are going to college. All of that varies. All right, and of course, gas is included in all of that stuff. So, to start off here, get more in depth into what we're talking about. We're going to talk a little bit or a lot about pricing. So, when you see when you go to a college's website, you see what is called a sticker price. So, the sticker price is what the total cost of tuition, all of the fees, room and board, with nothing taken out. So sometimes you'll see something like Augsburg's cost, net or sticker price is $42,000 a year on average, or for anybody taking specific credits. Well, there's also something called a net price. So this is the actual price that you pay after you get grants, scholarships, and any tax benefits. So it's kind of the example that's on here is if you buy a pizza for $20, but you have a coupon for 12. The sticker price would be $20, but the net price after the coupon is $8. So that's kind of the way, that's a good way to think about net price versus sticker price. So looking at net price, if you're looking at colleges, that net price can scare you because you know, when I hear $42,000, that's a lot of money, you know, to me and most people. So this is basically kind of saying, just keep in mind that there are discounts. There is free money that's available to you. So keep in mind that the net price isn't what you pay. So, and we'll get more into detail here. So here is an example of a public institution. So this is average. I have to stress this, average sticker price. So of all the public institutions, the average sticker price is $21,300. So if you go to Mankato, Winona, those are the colleges that'll tell you to come here for 1 year is $21,300 average. The net price that most people pay, now this is average, again, you take all of the students and put them together and you divide by however many, you know, so this is average. The net price that most people pay is about $14,880. So what does this mean? How are we getting from 21 to 14,000? So let's talk a little bit about that. So you're paying roughly $14,880 for tuition, fees, room and board each year. So the discount, the coupon per se, is financial aid. So this is grants, scholarships, things like that. Free money. So financial aid pays $6,490. You would pay $14,880. Okay. So after 4 years, a student would roughly owe $59,520. Again, this is average. This is not what everybody owes once they go through a 4-year institution. Okay. So now let's look at a private school. So a private school, on average, again, sticker price is $48,510. Net price, again, average, is $27,290. And now let's go through where the discounts, where the coupons are. So you're paying roughly $27,290 again for tuition, fees, room and board each year. Financial aid covers $21,220. So now private institutions have access to usually more money, gift money. So they tend to give more money to students. So average student, after they get out of a 4-year institution, they owe $109,160. They were gifted $84,880. So again, think about net price. Now, these numbers are not true for everybody. So keep that in mind. Don't let this discourage you from looking at private institutions because they give a lot of money, okay? So, and you can get more money for them than you can for public, excuse me. So do your homework. Any questions so far? Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just going to mention that, you know, I think we've seen all over the board. We've seen a lot of our seniors that come, and while they're applying to both private and public, that they come out that the private schools giving them a lot of scholarships, which makes it either at basically the same price at the end of the year to go to the private school as it would be to go to the state, and sometimes those private schools are even cheaper. But always, for me, I've always told my students, look at what it's going to cost, either at the end of the 4 years or at the end of every year. Like, what are you going to actually be owing somebody? Because just because a private school is giving you, saying that they're giving you $30,000 in scholarship money, but realistically at the end of the year you're going to owe the same amount at that public school, is really make sure that you're making an educated decision on which school is going to give you the best opportunity then. 'Cause
Yes.
I've had some students that are like, but that school's giving me $20,000. Like, that's so awesome. I should go there. I'm like, yes, but at the end of the day, they're still more expensive than your other options. So,
Yes.
yeah. So just don't feel obligated to go anywhere just because they gave you a lot of money, even if it's still expensive.
Yep. Keep your best interest in mind. That's the
For
thing.
sure.
You take care of yourself. The colleges will still be there even if you don't go. So, and again, all of this is just to show you the numbers here. Try not to pay too close attention because each individual net price is going to be different. So I really don't want to scare you from private schools, and I don't want to scare you from college in general because the cost varies. So, any questions so far? All right.
Something I can add to that is that schools kind of increase their prices every single year too. So make sure you take that into consideration as well.
Yep. All right.
Any questions? Right.
So here is kind of what Molly was kind of talking a little bit about. So variable costs, what that means is they change. You can save money, you can spend a little more money. So depending on so books and supplies, depending on what your major is, your cost can go up or it can go down. So for example, if you are in a medical field, those books tend to change, if not every year, every other year. So when you buy a brand new book and there's no used books, that'll cost you more. So, but if you are in another class where they're doing literature of the 1800s, well, obviously those books aren't going to change because they're not updating those. So those are things to consider as far as books and supplies. Personal expenses, obviously that's up to you. So if you want the latest and greatest fancy phone, that's going to cost you. So your personal expenses are going to go up. If you don't have a phone, then obviously and this is just an example. If you are like me and like to eat a lot, then your expenses will go up. So transportation, obviously, if you live on campus, you're not going to be driving a lot. So you'll be spending less gas. If you live off campus, then you'll be spending more money on gas. And room and board, it says $8,000 to $10,000, but if you live on campus, it'll be a lot more expensive than maybe living off campus with some roommates. So things to consider. There's definitely ways to save money.
And I just want to add to, I mean, we can talk about this too when it gets closer, because it might not mean a lot to you now, but with room and board, a lot of students will ask questions about meal plan. Well, can I save money going for a lower meal plan? It's been my experience when I've helped kids crunch the numbers, there's not a huge price difference between the different levels of meal plans. And if you don't want to go out and be buying food at like Taco Bell and all that stuff, going for like the all, what do you call it? Like their meal plan that allows you to go as many times as you want, usually isn't that much more expensive than some of the other meal plans.
What if
It's
I
maybe
only
like a
want to eat
$50
Taco
difference, to be honest.
What was that?
I said, what if I only want to eat Taco Bell?
Well, then your expenses are going to go up, Kyle, and you're probably not going to feel very
Do
good.
they have that option?
The freshman 15 is real. All right. So again, be informed. Don't let net price scare you away. So again, you'll find your sticker price once you start getting award letters from the colleges that you have applied to. Okay. So give me a second. Sorry. So a way to find a rough estimate of your net price is finding a calculator. Now here, I'm sorry. So here it's on collegescoreboard.ed.gov. So we'll go through this in a little bit with some colleges. The college scoreboard scorecard. I'm sorry. This gives you a lot of information, a lot of really useful information So it's something that you probably want to keep in mind. And again, these are all, I keep stressing, these are all like estimates, but the calculator will give you the ability to get a pretty close idea of what each college will cost. Other than, so private institutions, if they give you like scholarships, that stuff might not be on there. So we'll move on to the next slide here. So this is these are some of the things that you can find on the college scorecard. So you can search for colleges by major location sizes, compare college costs compared to like the national average, calculate again your net price and typical. So again, we go back to average. It'll show you what typically each average student has to pay once they graduate from that college. And I think it'll make a lot more sense once we go there. I'll see if I can open it up here. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So somebody give me a college.
Bemidji State.
Bemidji State.
So the nice thing about college scorecard, and why we've oftentimes motivated students to check it out, and they're looking for this, is also because this is updated every year, and it's based off of the information that their students have filled out on their FAFSAs. They like take all the data from students that have filled out the FAFSA, and that's how they get this information every year. So it's pretty up to date every year.
So here's Bemidji State. So I would click on that, and it'll open their profile. So here is, Bemidji State. It gives you the average annual cost. So this includes tuition, living costs, books, fees, minus the average grant scholarships from federal financial aid. So it's $15,624. And then as we go down here, this will kind of explain a little more information or give you more information on costs. So here, you can look at your parents' taxes, and the taxable income, if you fall between $0 and $30,000, your average cost would be $10,000. Okay, if you're between 30 and 48,000, again, these are averages. This will give you a really good estimated costs per year. Okay, so if you're here after 4 years, you'd be about $42,000 at the end. And again, everybody's different. So graduation retention, this tells you how the college is, how students who go there, whether they graduate, whether they stay there. So 49% of the people who start at Bemidji State graduate at Bemidji State. Okay. Now that's not to say that people who start there don't go and move back or do stuff. So there's a bunch of other things that are in this number that kind of fluctuate that number, if that makes sense. And then students who are there for their first year, do they return for their second? 70% of them do. So it's kind of an indication of whether people enjoy being there and come back. So obviously, if you've got a large number there, it's a positive thing. Financial aid and debt gives you more information here about. So students receiving federal loans, 68% of them. People who receive loans, their typical, once they graduate or leave Bemidji State, their typical loan payment is $176 to $259 a month. So that's, again, average. Okay. Question so far? Okay. So here, again, right below it says, help me pay for college. This is your FAFSA form. You can click here and it'll take you to fill your financial aid form. Okay. Let's see. So there's all sorts of stuff. I don't know. This is basic salary, 28,000 to 60. It varies depending on the field of study. So you can do all of this information, or you can go through this all of this information for each college and get a good picture of where you're going. Yeah. So if you're wondering what it takes to get into Bemidji State, down here it says acceptance rate. There's 67% of the time, 67% of the people who apply are accepted. And then here it says ACT is from 19 to 24 is what's average for students. Any questions so far? Okay. So feel free to, we'll send you this information on how to get here if you don't have it already. And you can look up each of the schools that you're interested in and go through it. I would encourage you to really do some research and find out more about your schools that you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. So if you're applying to schools outside of Minnesota, the bad news is you are probably, depending on where you're going, you would have to pay a higher cost. Now, on a positive note, there are a few states that border Minnesota that let you pay, it's called their in-state tuition. Talk to your advisor about that. It's been a while since I've looked at what states, but I know Wisconsin and I believe Iowa. I don't know if the Dakotas are still doing that. Do you guys know?
Yes, North Dakota.
Yep.
I know North Dakota for sure does have reciprocity agreements.
Okay.
I don't know about South Dakota. I
Yeah,
assume so.
Okay. Yeah, I thought there was a few states that have kind of gone away from that, but I don't remember. So, anywho, things to consider. So,
Yeah.
This is another thing. I think this is more of a if you're going to college, you are likely going to need some form of loan or take on some sort of debt. So this is just a slide that kind of lets you know that on average, those who graduate from college earn at least $1 million over their lifetime. So this is an investment. Going to college is an investment in yourself. So you can earn, your earning potential goes up higher. So now we have a Kahoot. Wow, that was fast. Did I go too fast? No? Yes? No?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Okay, so now to give you guys a break, we have a Kahoot. Do you want to do that now?
Sure.
All right. So we found a Kahoot. It's been a week since I've done this, so bear with me.
You might just have to log in.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Don't look at my login. Close your eyes.
Hidden.
Close your eyes. Did it work?
Yep.
Okay, so now I got to go here. Click it again. So it opens it up. Come on, don't be difficult. There it is. Play. Present. I should have had this up and ready. I don't know what I was thinking. All right. So those of you who want to play, please join us. I will load this.
My phone's dead, or I would play.
Oh, my phone is. Oh, there it is. So if you'd like to join, please join us. Let me know when people are ready.
We've got 7 students, and only 3 of them are in so far.
Well,
Is anyone else playing?
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because last time you couldn't hear me. That's why I just realized.
Yeah. Kyle.
maybe this is the test to find out if people are listening.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna join and probably nominate just to give you guys a heads up.
Oh, we lost somebody. All right. Is anyone else trying to join? Calvin, Bethany, Bao?
Oh, there it is. Okay, we good? I can wait.
We got
I can't see
2
anybody.
students logged in.
me know when I should start.
Gotta play. Y'all gotta play.
We had one more and then we lost him. I don't know who it was.
Jasmine normally dominates.
Oh, we got one more.
Winner. Who's
Is
that?
that Robert?
What that?
Robert, did you join?
No.
Oh,
All right.
all right, we can probably start.
Okay, here we go. It's the squirrelivore.
Oh, I think I missed that one.
Well, that picture totally helped you cheat.
I missed it. I knew it was an owl.
Ooh, Hanan, she's coming up.
Oh no, I don't know. Wow. Ah, that was my chance to creep back up. I didn't think it would be so obvious. What? I just didn't think they'd make it so obvious. I thought it was gonna be this.
Trick question.
I fell apart here at the end. Almost like winner knew the answers.
Oh.
I think.
Wonder
you're
who it is.
cheating.
Nice, Nina.
Here's who that is.
Well done. Here we go.
Nice. Good Kahoot. Good Kahoot.
That was kind of fun. All right. So, FAFSA.
All righty.
Let's see, Clarissa, you have control.
I do. Sweet. All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yep. I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay.
Can you move the mouse?
Yep. I think. Do I use the arrows or the?
I
Do I
use
just
the little
click
arrows
to
at the
move?
boughtom because it wouldn't let me click through. Try it.
I
Whatever.
would,
I
click
don't
with
know.
your, I would click with your mouse.
I don't have my mouse attached. Okay.
There we go. That worked.
There we go. All right. So this last piece of the presentation is about financial aid. So first we're going to talk about the FAFSA. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Okay, so it's the primary application that's used to figure out your federal, state grants, work study, and other types of assistance. All of you should fill it out, even if you're unsure that you're going to qualify for anything, because you definitely don't know if you don't fill it out. And you might not be eligible for certain loans if you don't fill out the FAFSA either. Okay, so you can submit your FAFSA as early as October 1st. So I know that's coming up soon, and you can start and finish your FAFSA as soon as it opens. Okay, you will use earlier income and tax information, so you will need some parent participation in order to fill out your FAFSA. Also, if students have had a job, you'll need to do your part on the FAFSA as well. So when you're going to school, it'll be the 21-22 school year. So you need to use your 2019 tax information. It's called prior year taxes. Okay. Click. There we go. So some things that you'll need in order to complete the FAFSA, and you may not need all of these things, but it's good to be prepared so that when you sit down to start it, that you're able to finish it. You are allowed to save it and go back into it, but it doesn't hurt to be prepared so that you don't get frustrated.
And don't guess on any of these numbers either.
Sorry, what was that, Robert?
Don't guess on any of these numbers. Like
Yeah,
the Social
don't just guess,
Security.
because then you have to fix it later and it gets a little messier. So you will need social security card, driver's license. You'll need your parent's social security number, W-2 forms. That's what you get in order to fill out your taxes. Records of untaxed income, bank statements, and things like that. Okay, click. So an FSA ID, what is it and why do you need one? So in order to electronically sign your FAFSA application at the end, you do it with what's called your FSA ID. Okay, so you'll put in a username and a password that you'll want to write down and remember and have access to. Do not use a school email. You're going to want to use one that you always have access to, because you're going to need to fill out the FAFSA every year you're in school. Okay, you will need to create an FSA ID, and one of your parents will need to create one. If you have older siblings in college, a parent probably already has one. Both parents don't need one. You just need one parent to have one. Okay, so how do you get one? So if you go to studentaid.gov/FSA ID, it tells you how to create one. So you'll need to know your social security number, your full name, as it is on your social security card, and your date of birth. Okay. So filling out the FAFSA, there's different ways that you can fill it out. I would suggest doing the electronic form because in my opinion, it's generally more user-friendly. There's like little buttons that you can click if you have questions, and it kind of tells you exactly what it's asking. And it's generally faster than doing a mail-in application. Okay, so each state and school has their own FAFSA deadline. So depending on where you're going to school, you may need to look up, okay, when do I need to have my financial aid submitted? So I just want to explain, when you fill out the FAFSA, FAFSA is not giving you the money. FAFSA is just the tool that reports numbers to your schools that determine your financial aid. Does that make, if anyone has questions about that, you can stop me or type it in the chat. It doesn't look like I can see the chat right now either. Okay.
I can let you know if I see anything.
What was that, Kyle?
I can let you know if I see anything.
Okay. So 5 basic steps. So you're going to apply for admission to one or more of your colleges, like we talked about last week. Then you're going to apply for financial aid at fafsa.gov. Please make sure that you are on the right website, because there are false FAFSA websites out there that are trying to access your information. You never, ever, ever have to pay to fill out the FAFSA. So if it's asking you for payment information, you're on the wrong website. If you have questions, contact your advisor. You want to make sure that you're on the official government website, fafsa.gov, okay? And then apply for scholarships to help supplement. Oh, I clicked too soon. Can I go back?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So then you're just going to start receiving your college admittance letters. I mean, like we talked about last week, you won't know what those costs are necessarily going to be. The net price calculator will help, because you'll get accepted before you get your financial aid award letters. Financial aid award letters probably won't be coming to you. It could vary by the school. I mean, you could be getting them anywhere between March and July. Okay, so here's a little video on how to fill out the FAFSA.
The free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, is the application for grants, loans, and work-study funds provided by the federal government. It is also used by many states and schools for their financial aid programs. For the fastest and easiest way to apply, visit our official website, fafsa.gov. The FAFSA is available in English and Spanish. As you fill it out online, you'll be able to automatically skip questions that don't pertain to you, check out your status immediately, and get online help. It takes most people less than 30 minutes to complete the application. You'll need a few things when you fill it out, so get ready by gathering your Social Security number, your permanent resident card if you have one, any W-2 forms or records of money you earned for the previous year, and your tax records. By the way, a nice time-saving feature of the FAFSA is that many people are eligible to automatically transfer their tax data from the IRS into the FAFSA, so keep an eye out while you're applying in case you're offered that option. If you have any questions about what information to gather, there is a complete list of documents that you will need at fafsa.gov. Before you begin the process of filling out the FAFSA, you should create a username and password called an FSA ID that will act as your electronic signature. You'll only need to create an FSA ID once, and you can use it to renew your FAFSA each year that you apply. Your parents will need an FSA ID too if they have to provide any information. So now you're ready to begin filling out the FAFSA to apply for financial aid. There are 3 groups of questions that include personal information, such as your name, address, and marital status, financial information, such as your income, and any parent information that is required. If you get hung up or confused about a question, the Help and Hints box on the right-hand side of the application can help with each question as you move along. Also, look for the online chat feature under Help if you would like assistance from a knowledgeable agent. Because colleges and career schools use the FAFSA to provide financial aid, you can list up to 10 schools that you are interested in attending. You should list all of the schools that you are considering, even if you haven't been accepted or applied yet. If you have more than 10 schools in mind, you can submit your FAFSA with 10 schools and then replace some of those schools with other schools later. When you finish filling out the FAFSA, use your FSA ID to sign the form. If you are required to submit parent information on your FAFSA, a parent will need to sign the application with his or her own FSA ID as well. If you have any questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
Alrighty. And just so you know, when your parent creates an FSA ID, it needs to be connected to their own email. You can't use the same email address for more than one FSA ID. Okay. Let me see if it'll go to the next one. Okay, so this is after the, whoops, hang on. Let's try this again.
Oh, sorry, I'm moving stuff over here.
Robert, here. Okay, so this is after the FAFSA. So what happens after you filled it out?
So, you filled out the FAFSA. Now what? The information you submitted will be processed by the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid, and the colleges or career schools you listed will be notified so they can begin their process of awarding aid. The great thing about filling out the FAFSA online is that you can check its processing status immediately. This comes in handy when you're thinking, I wonder if it went through. Within a few days of filling out the FAFSA, you'll get your Student Aid Report, or SAR. You'll hear that abbreviation again, so just remember, your SAR is your Student Aid Report. Basically, it summarizes all of the information you submitted on the FAFSA. You can access your SAR online at fafsa.gov using your FSA ID, which is your username and password. Check your SAR for any mistakes. Then make corrections if you need to, but only if you estimated your tax information or provided incorrect information the day you filled out the FAFSA. On your SAR, you'll see reference to your EFC, or expected family contribution. This number is used to determine your eligibility for federal student aid. It doesn't mean you actually have to contribute that amount. The financial aid office at each college or career school you list on your FAFSA will receive your information. Each office will then use your FAFSA information to determine how much aid you can get at that school. It's possible that your college or career school may require you to verify the information you submitted on your FAFSA. If that happens, your school will tell you what you need to do. Once you're accepted into a college or career school, you'll get an award letter from a school's financial aid office that explains the aid being offered to you. We'd recommend comparing award letters from multiple schools. That way you can make the best decision for your situation. If you have any questions about your financial aid offer, contact the school's financial aid office. If your aid offer includes a federal loan and you're a first-time borrower, there are a few more steps before you get your loan. You'll need to complete entrance counseling and sign the Master Promissory Note, or MPN, which is your agreement to pay back the loan. Your school will provide you with the necessary information. So how do you get your money? Well, usually your grants and loans will be applied to tuition, fees, and other charges on your student account first. Then any leftover money is paid to you. Work-study funds are earned throughout the term. Remember, filling out the FAFSA is not a one-time thing. You must complete it every year you attend school. If you have questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
All right, I'll try not to push too many buttons. I believe there is one more video, I think. Oh, I clicked and it's not moving.
Is it working? There it is.
Oop, okay, so this video is going to go over the types of financial aid that are available. Okay, so you're going to hear words like grants and loans, scholarships.
If you need help paying for college or career school, the Office of Federal Student Aid might be your best option. We offer more than $150 billion to students each year in the form of grants, loans, and work-study funds. And federal student aid can be used to pay for school expenses, such as tuition, room and board, and books and supplies. After you've filled out the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, you'll receive an award letter from each school you list on your FAFSA. This letter explains both the federal and non-federal financial aid options that a school is offering you. So let's talk about federal aid. If you qualify for and receive a federal grant, you won't have to repay the money. That will definitely help offset the cost of school, but you may still need additional help. If so, a federal student loan might be your answer. Remember, a student loan is just like any other loan. It's borrowed money that will have to be repaid with interest. If you plan to take out a loan, consider federal student loans first. Compared to private student loans, federal student loans often have lower fixed interest rates and offer many benefits that you won't find otherwise. For example, when it's time for you to repay your federal student loan, your loan servicer can work with you to find the best repayment plan for your individual needs. Plus, you may be able to adjust your loan payments based on your income. You also may be able to defer your federal loan payments, deduct student loan interest on your taxes, and even consolidate your eligible federal student loans into one loan with one monthly payment. Federal loans can even be forgiven based on certain types of employment. Getting a work-study job is another great option to help pay for school. Eligible undergraduate and graduate students will be able to earn at least minimum wage. If you have questions or need assistance, you can contact the financial aid office at your college or career school or visit studentaid.gov for more information.
All right, I believe that was the last video. Oops, okay. There's just a couple things watching the videos that popped into my head. When it talks about books, and it might come up in another slide, but sometimes you can order books through your school and they can add the cost onto your bill, and you can use financial aid to pay for those. I will say books are usually more expensive through your school. So if you're ordering books online, they'll be cheaper, usually, not always, but it's a little bit harder to use financial aid that way. So it's just kind of making you aware of how the books works. Also, when you're filling out your FAFSA, some students have asked me in the past, well, my parents, I'm no longer living with my parents. Why do I need to include their information on the FAFSA? Or you're now considering yourself dependent or on your own. The FAFSA requires you to use your parents' information until you're 24 years of age, unless you are married or have a child. So you have to use your parents' information until the age of 24, unless you're also legally emancipated. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. All right, so grants. Federal Pell Grant. When you get your award letters, you'll see from each school, you'll see it'll say Pell Grant, Minnesota State Grant. These are estimated. So for 2021, so for this year, Pell Grants range from $598 to around $6,345 per year. When you do your net price calculator, if you do that ahead of time, it'll kind of give you an idea of what you will get in Pell Grant money. Living in Minnesota, you're eligible for the Minnesota State Grant if you fall below a certain income on the FAFSA. So the maximum award for this year ranges from about $7,800 at a public 2-year college to $12,345 at a private 4-year school. So that fluctuates based on how many credits you're taking and where you're going to school. Okay. Remember, you don't need to repay grants, so that's free money. Okay. Click. Sorry, it's like not clicking very well.
You want me to try it?
Sure.
Okay, so let's see.
There we go. Okay, so I couldn't find an updated chart for this, but I still think it's helpful. So this is an example from 2018 to 2019. So in the video, they used the words expected family contribution, or EFC. And this kind of shows an example of how that plays out. So based on how many people are living in your house, so let's say there's 2 parents and 3 kids. Okay, so there's 5 of you in the house, and your parents together have a gross income of $30,000. Your EFC would be 0, which means they're saying that your expected family contribution is no money. They're not expecting your family to be able to pay anything. Okay, so Pell Grant, you'd be eligible for around $5,800. And the state, it varies how much based on if you're going to a 2-year public, private, state university, or U of M, or a 4-year private school. See how the numbers go up? Okay. Any questions on that so far? Okay. Robert, you want to click again? Okay, types of loans. In the videos we watched, they talked about federal loans, and they were right in that these are the types of loans that you want to look at first, because their repayment options are generally more varied. They're a little more willing to work with you. The interest rates are usually lower and fixed. So the types of loans that you can get for federal loans are subsidized and unsubsidized. So what that means, a subsidized loan, the government is paying your interest while you're in school, which is kind of nice because there's not interest sitting in there and accruing over time, okay? Unsubsidized loans, your interest does accrue while you're in school. Some students, you're allowed to start repaying on your loans whenever you want to. So while you're in school, if you've got an extra couple $100 and you want to pay off your interest, you can do that, and then it's not sitting there building. Okay. A PLUS loan, a student loan is that's offered to parents of students. So a PLUS loan is something you'd be looking at if your subsidized and unsubsidized loans don't cover the amount. But this one is only in your parents' name. And not all parents qualify, so that's something to keep in mind, okay? So after you've looked at those options, then parents and students can start looking at private loans. If you are going to take out a private loan, you cannot do it on your own. So the subsidized and unsubsidized loans, as an 17, 18, 19-year-old student who doesn't have a credit history, these are the only ones that you can take out on your own without having a co-signer. So if you take out a private loan, you have to have a credit-worthy adult take it out with you, and then your name and their name is on it. Does that make sense? Does anyone have questions about that so far? So the note at the bottom, loans may seem scary, but they're not. If you really sit down and plan and compare your award letters and think about what you're gonna have to repay, loans can be very helpful, as long as you're being educated about your decisions.
A good rule of thumb is for every $10,000 that you have that you are in debt once you're done with college, it's about $100 a month. So if you are $20,000, $25,000, it would probably be about a $250 payment a month.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Okay, next slide.
Oops, sorry, forgot to.
That's all right. Thank you for clicking for me.
You're welcome.
Okay, so interest rates. So right now, undergraduate is the ones that we're concerned with. You'll see words like direct. There's sometimes in the award letters, there's different language for what they're calling the federal loans, but you'll look for subsidized and unsubsidized. I believe this chart, this is what the interest rate is right now.
Yes.
2.75, which is awesome. I believe my federal loans are at 6%, which is still pretty good. But right now the interest rates are really are pretty good. Okay.
Next.
Go ahead. So like Robert had mentioned, repaying back your loans. So this is just based on different percentages. So if we look at the lowest one right now, like Robert said, if you're borrowing around $10,000, your payment per month will be $100 for 120 months. That is 10 years. You will be paying $2,000 in interest. So that 10 grand will have then costed you 12 grand over a period of 10 years, okay? And I believe, this was maybe a few years ago, the average loan debt across the nation is between 30 and 40,000. So to kind of give you an idea, a lot of people are paying $300 to $400 a month for 10 years. Okay, and you're allowed to pay more than that if you can. Okay.
Next.
Yep. Work study. Work study is awesome. When you apply to schools and when you fill out your FAFSA, you can mark that you're interested in being considered for work study. So these are part-time jobs that are offered on campus or sometimes even off campus, depending on your school's partnerships. Some like working in the cafeteria, the dorms, the library. There's all sorts of work study jobs. The financial aid office determines the size of your award and it will be put on your award letter. Participating students work an average of 15 hours a week and can earn $3,000 or more per year. Now, the tricky part about work study is you earn that throughout the school year. So they're going to pay you every 2 weeks. And if you included that money in the beginning and how you're going to pay for school, you have to remember to take those paychecks and go apply it towards your bill for school. Because if you spend it, then you won't have that money to put towards school. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. And once your work study runs out, most campuses also have jobs available to students that aren't work study jobs. Okay. Go ahead. So scholarships, so that's another way to take out less loans, right? When to start looking. I mean, you guys should really start looking now. Be mindful of deadlines, college application deadlines, your FAFSA. Where to look for scholarships. You can write these down, or this video is also going to be posted afterwards if you forget. College Board, College Greenlight, OHE. There's all sorts of places to look for scholarships, and Molly did put together a really good resource for us last year And I will put that in the Google Classroom for you seniors so you can look at it. Okay. Also, I believe in January or possibly even sooner, your high schools will put out a list of regional and local scholarships, and you definitely should be applying to those as well.
A lot of those have early deadlines, so I would start looking at those now.
Yep, there are deadlines even this month.
Yeah.
You know, if you can kind of get in the habit of even just doing one a month. I mean, more would be great, but if you can try and commit to just filling out one a month, that's going to be helpful. As opposed to some of my students who wait until the last minute and try to cram them all in March.
Also, once you're accepted to schools, they have additional scholarships that you can apply. So don't be afraid to call and ask if you are eligible for any other scholarships that you can apply.
Yep.
So things to think about.
Yeah, sometimes depending on like your major that you're going into, that department might have some scholarships available. And sometimes you're automatically considered for certain scholarships with your application based on your ACT score or your grades, your GPA. Okay. So just to kind of explain, merit-based scholarships are based on your performance, such as grades, scores. Need-based scholarships is based on income through your FAFSA. Okay, go ahead.
Nope. Okay.
So this is a ways down the road when you guys start getting your financial aid packages, and there is a monthly assignment where you will compare some financial aid packages, and we can help you when we get to this point. But this is just an example of what a financial aid award letter could look like. So this one was for 1920 from the College of St. Ben's. So this student on the right, it shows tuition and fees. So that's that sticker price that Robert was talking about. Okay, and the room and board, and they estimated $1,000 for books and supplies, $400 for travel expenses, and $1,500 for personal expenses. Now, I do think it's important to note when it comes to books, supplies, travel, and personal, those aren't necessarily considered direct costs, right? These are things that are going to be costing you throughout the school year. And they kind of estimate high. Like Robert had said, if you're going into the medical field, your textbooks are going to be more expensive, but you can certainly lower these numbers by, you know, being frugal and planning out your expenses. And you could use work study money to pay for some of this stuff if you've planned it that way. So when you add all of these things together, this sticker price is $60,788 for the school year. What they were offering this student, they gave this person some scholarships right off the bat. They get 10 grand. They got 17,000 for this president's scholarship, 2,000 for this one, another 3,200. And these are those grants that we talked about that you're considered for when you fill out the FAFSA. Okay, so this person probably had a lower EFC because they're getting higher amounts, and they're also going to a more expensive school. So they're getting $6,791 for the Minnesota grant and $5,700 and some for federal Pell. Okay. This person, student employment, I'm assuming this is work study, even though it isn't labeled so. They were offered $3,600 to work on campus. Now remember, they didn't get this money right away. They earned it throughout the year, okay? And this person also did decide to take out federal loans. The first year you are in school, you can only take out $7,500. It's been that way for years. So they got $5,500 in subsidized. Does anyone remember the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized? Shout it out. Okay, I won't put you on the spot. Subsidized is where this interest is being taken care of by the government while they're in school. Their unsubsidized amount, which is a lower, is accruing interest while they're in school. But remember, this year it's only like 2.75%. Okay. So the total money that they're getting, and not all of it's free because loans they have to pay back and they have to work for this amount, but they're getting $55,836. So the difference between this number and this number, they still need to find $4,952. Okay. So what that person can do is cut down the costs on their books, supplies, and personal expenses. Okay. They could look for a private loan. They could get a summer job before they go to school. There's a few things that they can do. Does anyone have questions about these numbers and how I explained it? Okay, so keep in mind, this is just 1 year. Okay, if you're going to this school for 4 years, you have to consider you'll need to take out this amount of loans each year, and this number will probably be close to the same. And you also need to find out, when you get scholarships, are they what's called renewable? Meaning, do you get them every year, or did you only get them in your first year? And that's something you can ask your financial aid office. Are these scholarships renewable? And if they are renewable, there may be some things you have to do in order to keep them, such as maintaining a certain GPA and passing your classes at a certain rate. Okay, any questions about that? I know this is a lot of information, so okay, go ahead and go to the next one. Okay.
3 more slides.
Woohoo, we're getting there. So these are just some things to think about. So if you're making a decision on which college you want to attend just based off of financial aid, what would you choose and why? So then after that, then you have to consider programs. Which schools offer better internship opportunities, the location. So money doesn't always need to be the #1 priority in deciding, but it definitely should be considered because you will be expected to repay your loans. And financial aid, and loans never go away. They are not something that you can file bankruptcy on. You do have to pay them back. Okay. I think the next slide is just like if anyone has any questions.
I'm gonna stop sharing here.
Okay. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast.
Okay, looks like there's questions. There's 9 of them. Or not 9 of them. I have to go. Gotta go. Okay.
I don't think we have any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. That's what we're here for. Even if it's not financial aid related and you have a question from last week or anything.
First person to say hello gets $1,000.
Oh.
All right. Well, if no one has any questions, thank you very much for being here. Am I blurry? Is it just me?
You're a little blurry.
Oh, let me see. I'm gonna wipe down my camera. There we go. Okay. Well, if no one has any questions, thank you very much for joining us. If you can on chat, please put your email type in your email so we can send you the information that we went through and send you the scholarship stuff. So if you can do that now before you leave. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us.
And since
Make
we covered
sure
a
it's
lot,
not a school one.
Yeah.
There we go.
since we covered a lot, we'll also be once we're done here, I'll upload it on YouTube and send it out so you guys can come back to this and watch it whenever you need to.
Yeah. We can probably stop recording.
Yeah,
No.
stop recording.
Hi, recording.
Once we have your email, you can go ahead and take off. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.